Good morning, everybody. So today, what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at the chapter United States from the book The Prisoners of Geography by Tim Marshall. Okay. So this is where I'm gonna tell you about the geography and the geopolitical importance of United States, and from this slide we'll read the book, only the important stuff. Okay. So first of all, I'll explain you the basic geography of the United States, which will encounter in this chapter. So this is the United States, situated in North of America. So इसमें 50 states हैं, and here you can see these mountains, these mountain ranges. This mountain range is called Rocky Mountains. ये यहाँ से स्टार्ट होते हैं and they goes up to somewhere around Albuquerque. Okay, Albuquerque or Albuquerque, whatever you wanna call it. And on the eastern side of the United States, we have Appalachian Mountain, and on the eastern side we have the Great Atlantic Ocean, and on the western side we have the Greater Pacific Ocean. In south side we have the Gulf of Mexico, and then we have these Caribbean islands. Then we have Guatemala, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama, and then south of South America. So okay, so let's start with the chapter, with the book. Okay, so location. If you won the lottery and you were looking to buy country to live in, the first one is the real estate agent would show you would like to be the United States of America. So इसका मतलब है कि the United States of America is blessed with the geographical location that they possess. They have no enemies in their close proximity. They have a great neighbor in the form of Canada. They are covered with oceans on both of their sides, so they have no threat from any of its neighbors. Mexico से क्या ही threat होगा इनको. And on the upper side we have Canada. So और ये सारी दुनिया से इतने अलग हैं कि इनके किसी भी एडवर्सरी को इतना ज़्यादा ट्रैवल करके आना पड़ेगा, विच इज़ नेक्स्ट टू इम्पॉसिबल. इतना ट्रैवल करके आना और फिर इतनी बड़ी टेरिटरी पे अटैक करना. सो दे आर ब्लेस्ड विद जियोग्राफी. So America has wonderful geography. Transport links are excellent, and the neighbors are great. No trouble at all. There are American states. There are 50 American states, but they add up to one nation in a way. 28 sovereign states of the European Union never can. European Union states have a national identity far stronger, more defined, and than any American state. So in this stanza, what the author is trying to say here is, देखो ये यहाँ पे लिखा हुआ होगा somewhere around, देखो ये रहा, there are 50 American states. हाँ ये रहा. So in this para, the author is trying to convey कि जो 50 states हैं US के अंदर, they add up to make one nation. वो इस सेंस में they are one कि इस सेंस में द यूरोपियन यूनियन विच हैव 28 स्टेट्स, वो इतने यूनाइटेड हो ही नहीं सकते, क्योंकि उनकी इंडिविजुअल आइडेंटिटी इतनी स्ट्रॉन्ग है कि वो नॉन ऑफ देम वांट्स टू डाइल्यूट देमसेल्व्स, ओके, एंड बी अ ग्रेटर पावर. अगर एज्यूम करें, इफ द यूरोपियन यूनियन एड्स अप टू वन नेशन, सो आई थिंक दैट नेशन विल बी द मोस्ट पावरफुल नेशन द अर्थ हैज़ एवर सीन. कुछ हद तक it will be more powerful and influential than the US itself, but the individual identity that they possess is far stronger than the US has. So that's why the US is united, despite being there are 50 states that they possess. So American Revolution happened. So the अमेरिका की स्टार्ट कहाँ से हुई? The nationalism that they have right now, where does it start? वो start कहाँ से, वो nationalism आया कहाँ से? So it came from American Revolution, which started in 1775 and ended in 1783. So I'll only take up the important parts. अगर मैं सारा बताने लग गया तो the video will be long, but it will be even longer अगर मैं सारा सब कुछ बताऊंगा. So I will only take up the important parts. 1803 में US bought US bought territory from France in $15 million. The area was equivalent to France, UK, Italy, Germany, and Spain combined. When French used to colonize America, so they did not fought directly, but what they did is they did business and they bought their own land from the French. और वो $15 million में 1803 में उन्होंने ली थी. $15 million at that time is still a huge amount of money, but at that time तुम सोच सकते हो भाई. So the area that they bought is equivalent to France, UK. देखो, I'll show you how much that they're talking about. So they said the area is equivalent to UK, France, Italy, Germany, and Spain. So they bought this much of area. I'm roaming the cursor around that area. उन्होंने इतना area they bought from the French. Okay, so अब आपको idea लग गया होगा. So the next para is American history historian Henry. Okay. One thing I left. I'm sorry. With it came the Mississippi Basin, from which flowed America's route to greatness. और जो उन्होंने देखो मैं दिखाता हूँ अमेरिका की एक ग्रेट रिवर है जिसका नाम है मिसिसिपी. वो करीब यहाँ पे है शायद वो, इफ आई एम नॉट रॉन्ग. देखते हैं. हाँ देखा मिसिसिपी, ये दो भाई मिसिसिपी रिवर. इफ आई वॉज नॉट रॉन्ग. हाँ देखा वो यहाँ से ही है ना, सेंट लुइस से जाती है. दिस रिवर केम अंडर द टेरिटरी विच अमेरिकन्स बॉट फ्रॉम द फ्रेंच. और ये रिवर पूरा यहाँ से नीचे तक आती है भाई. दिस शायद न्यू ऑरलीन्स तक जाती है. सो सबको पता है कि रिवर्स आर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर द सिविलाइजेशंस, फॉर civilizations to sustain themselves, for business to flourish, and for the basic necessities rivers से पूरी हो जाती हैं. They can get food from here, they can get water from here, they can the transportation in river at that time was easier. It is still easy, but that time तो और भी अच्छा होगा. American historian Henry Adams wrote, never did the United States get so much for so little. American historian is trying to say here is कि उनको इतनी अच्छी डील कहीं पे मिली ही नहीं थी अमेरिकन्स को, कि they paid so little and they got so much from that money. In 1814 the British had gone, French given up Louisiana. Now the trick was to get Spanish out. So 1814 तक the British left the United States and French given up Louisiana. Louisiana is somewhere around, I have to, यार मुझे ध्यान नहीं आ रहा है. Louisiana is somewhere around here. South Carolina, Louisiana. Okay, मैं ढूंढ लेता हूँ यार, इतना टाइम नहीं लगाते. Louisville, Louisiana, somewhere around here. अच्छा ये तो बहुत नीचे यार. हाँ तो the French given up Louisiana, and the only people that they have to throw out were the Spanish. So 1819 में Spanish after the fights that they had in American Revolution, 1819 तक Spanish were out. तो 1867 में Alaska was bought from Russia at 7.2 million हाँ 7.2 million में in 1867 US bought this land. Today we know this land from the name of Alaska. So it was used to rule by Russia, but they sold Alaska to US in 1867 at 7.2 million. अगर इसको अच्छे से कैलकुलेट करें तो 2 cents per acre इतना सस्ता दिया. And after they sold this land, they realized that there were huge potential of oil reserves there. यहाँ पे सिविल, यहाँ पे डाइवर्सिटी बहुत है, यहाँ पे ऑयल रिजर्व्स बहुत हैं. स्ट्रेटेजिकली अगर वो नहीं बेचते तो दे वुड बी इन अ क्लोजर प्रोक्सिमिटी विद द यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स. सो द रशियंस मेड अ ब्लंडर देयर. 1896, हाँ देखा, बताया था ना. गोल्ड एंड ऑयल रिजर्व्स वर फाउंड इन अलास्का. 1898 यूएस डिक्लेयर्ड वॉर ऑन स्पेन, गेन्ड कंट्रोल ऑफ क्यूबा, पोर्टोरिको, गुआम एंड फिलीपींस. सो 1898 तक they fought with the Spanish and took the control of Cuba, which is here. You can see this is Cuba. Puerto Rico is also here somewhere around. Puerto Rico is here. Where is Puerto Rico? अच्छा यहीं पे है भाई पोर्टो रिको भी, देख लेना. समवेयर हियर. ओके, मुझे थोड़ा जूम करना पड़ेगा, मुझे एग्जैक्ट लोकेशन याद नहीं है. एंड गुआम इज हियर. गुआम में द यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स हैज अ मिलिट्री बेस. गुआम इज समवेयर हियर एवरीबडी. हाँ देखो ये रहा गुआम. दिस इज एन आइलैंड पोजेस्ड बाय अमेरिका, और यहाँ पे उनके मिलिट्री बेसिस हैं भाई. देखो देखो कितना अच्छे से दिख रहा है. इंटरनेशनल एयरपोर्ट इज हियर, और शायद ये फिर मिलिट्री बेस होगा, इफ आई एम नॉट रॉन्ग. दिस इज द मिलिट्री बेस. यस, दिस इज द मिलिट्री बेस, क्योंकि काफ़ी बड़ा है ना. पैसेंजर टर्मिनल. इफ नॉट दिस देन दिस माइट बी अ मिलिट्री बेस. ये भी हो सकता है. ओके, सो आपको पता लग गया व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू कन्वे हियर. नेक्स्ट व्हाट वी हैव इज सेकंड वर्ल्ड वॉर. देन सेकंड वर्ल्ड वॉर, बीच में इतनी कोई सिग्निफिकेंट चीज़ें हैं नहीं जो आई हैव टू टेल यू. वी कैन जंप ऑन टू सेकंड वर्ल्ड वॉर. So Second World War changed everything. The US was attacked by Japan after imposing sanctions on Tokyo. After so US was attacked by Japan after imposing sanctions on Tokyo. Everybody knows that Japan did a attack on Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor is somewhere here. Yeah, I have to show you. Okay, what we'll do is we'll search Pearl Harbor. Everybody knows that it is a big incident in the US history. हाँ देखो, here is Pearl Harbor. So what Japan did is they attacked, they sent their bomber squadron and they bombed the shit out of America. उन्होंने बहुत ज़्यादा डैमेज किया था पर्ल हार्बर पे. देखो यार कितने बड़े बड़े मिलिट्री बेसिस हैं. America is flourishing here. They always did, but अभी भी यार वो काफ़ी एडवांस है यार. अमेरिका इज the mightiest power the world has ever seen. This piece of land did a lot of bad things and a lot of good things as well. So good days, bad days. World's greatest economic and military post-war power, US needed to control the sea lanes of the world to keep peace and get the goods to market. So the most important thing in this world right now is trade. Everybody wants to get the controls on the sea trade routes, the trade routes in general. The sea trade routes are the most important among them. A century earlier, the British had learned that they need bases and coaling stations from which to project their naval power. Now in decline, the American looked and said, "Nice bases, we'll have them." So after Second World War was ended, Europe was in ruins. The European countries which lost, they were finished, and which one they were also kind of finished. They needed money to rebuild themselves. They needed a lot of money. And who gave the money? United States gave the money, because they lost nothing. They just lost some soldiers and money, because not one bullet was fired on American soil. So what they did is they took the naval bases which was initially possessed by the UK, which is the United Kingdom. And a funny line written here is now in decline, the Americans looked and said, "Nice bases, we'll have them." In 1940, British needed more warships. The Americans had 50. 1940 में when गिव मी मिनट यार, मैं पानी पीता हूँ थोड़ा सा। In 1940, when the World War II was going on, the UK needed more warships because the German U-boats were more superior, were more capable than the then what the UK had in their arsenal in the navy. So they needed 50. They needed warships, and America had 50 at that time. With what was called the Destroyers for Bases Agreement. What they did is they did an agreement which is called the Destroyers, जो कि ships होती हैं, the Destroyers for Bases Agreement. So they gave the destroyers. America gave the destroyers to UK, and they got the bases in return. The British swapped their ability to become a superpower for help in the war. I think this is a big line. So Britishers ने अपना वो रिसोर्स यूएस को दे दिया जिनसे वो सुपर पावर बन सकते थे ताकि उनकी वॉर में हेल्प हो जाए. इट इज़ अ क्लोज कॉल. ये इम्पोर्टेंट भी था. अगर वो नहीं देते तो मे बी वो हार सकते थे. So what they did is they traded their bases for some warships. After 1945, America no. In 1942, America entered the war, and in 1945, the war ended. Allies won, and in 1949, NATO was formed. A civilian head of NATO may well be a Belgian. So this line means जो सिविलियन जो होगा, जो हेड होगा नेटो का, वो बेल्जियन हो सकता है क्योंकि द हेडक्वार्टर्स ऑफ नेटो इज इन ब्रसेल्स विच इज इन बेल्जियम. बट Belgian, a Brit 1 year, but the military commanders are always Americans. जो नेटो के मिलिट्री कमांडर्स हैं, they will always be Americans, no matter what the treaty says. NATO supreme commander answers to Washington. The UK and France learned this during the Suez Crisis of 1956. So what they are trying to say is the NATO belongs to the US. Okay. When they were compelled by American pressure to seize their occupations by the Canal Zone. देखो, okay, the NATO, then the what they're trying to say is NATO belongs to America. The UK and France learned this during the Suez Crisis of 1956. So in 1956 there was Suez crisis when they were compelled by American pressure to seize their occupation of the Canal Zone. So the UK and the France, they were trying to establish their dominions in the Suez area, in the Suez Canal. So the Suez Canal is देखो मैं दिखाता हूँ, यहाँ पे Suez Canal है. It is one of the most important place on earth. Okay, क्योंकि सारा देखो ये लिखा हुआ है ना Suez. So this is a canal जो कि मेडिटेरेनियन सी को जोड़ती है रेड सी से, और इस कैनाल से जो ट्रेड राउट्स हैं वो भाई देखो, अगर यहाँ से जाना है एशिया की तरफ तो वन हैज़ टू कम फ्रॉम हियर द के कौन सी गुडो भाई कोई गे, एक मिनट यार मैंने गलत कर दिया. हाँ, एक तो ये चलाना नहीं आता मुझे. हाँ, so one has to come from here, but with the help of Suez Canal ये सारा रास्ता खत्म होके इतना बजाता भाई. दिस इज द मेडिटेरेनियन से, दिस इज द रेड सी विच कनेक्ट्स फ्रॉम द इंडियन ओशन. ओके, सो यहाँ पर सबको अपना डोमिनेंस चाहिए था. So what the US did is US said कि UK, फ्रांस तुम पीछे हो जाओ, इनको हम देखेंगे. ओके, सो वहाँ पर इजिप्ट के अंडर ये है, लेकिन इट इज कंट्रोल्ड बाय अमेरिका बेसिकली इन टुडेज वर्ल्ड. Okay, so US now dominates North Atlantic, Mediterranean, and the Pacific. So US dominates this ocean, and the Mediterranean region as well. 1960s US failure to Vietnam damaged the confidence. 1960s में सबको पता है कि यूएस वेंट टू वॉर विद वियतनाम एंड दे लॉस्ट देयर, और वो बहुत डैमेज हुआ यूएस का वहाँ पे, उनकी इमेज का काफ़ी नुकसान हुआ, दे केम बैक. नाउ व्हाट दे हैव इन फ्रंट ऑफ देम इज 3 challenges. एंड द फर्स्ट चैलेंज इज यूनाइटेड यूरोपियन यूनियन. उनको डर था कि अगर यूरोपियन यूनियन यूनाइट हुई तो दे कैन बी अ फॉर्मिडेबल पावर विच कैन चैलेंज देम. सो दिस इज वन चैलेंज. चैलेंज नंबर 2 वाज रशिया, क्योंकि when World War II ended, US and Russia was on the same page in terms of power and influence. So Russia was a great deal back then for US. And the third challenge was China, because China was rising from the 1970s onwards. China is having a good run, yeah. So it is also a challenge for the United States. EU is multilaterally weak and depends on US for that. Russia is economically incompetent. In 1991, the Russian threat had been seen off. The recent pushback by Putin's Russia is a thorn in America's side, but not a serious threat. So in 1991, the threat from Russia basically USSR, it ended. But Russia right now is a small thorn in America's side, but this is not a serious threat. In I think 2014 or 2012, then US President Barack Obama said that Russia is no more than a regional power. It means Russia सिर्फ एक regional power. It is not a superpower anymore. It used to be a good power, but right now their influence has been reduced to a larger extent. हाँ देखो ये लिखा भी हुआ है बुक में. Obama described Russia no more than a regional power. US was behind the government change in Ukraine in 2014. I think ये मैंने बताया था रशिया वाले वीडियो में. If you have not seen that video, go to that video. Watch this video before. Go to that video and वहाँ से तुमको ये सारा पता चलेगा. US was behind the government change in Ukraine in 2014, wanted to extend democracy and pull Ukraine away from Russia. Washington knows when America was distracted in Iraq and Afghanistan, the Russians took advantage. First advantage that they took, they regained footing in Kazakhstan. Second thing that they did is they seized their territory in Georgia. I think they did that in 2008, if I'm not wrong. That leaves okay. So EU का उन्होंने देख लिया कि EU is inherently weak because वो united तो है ही नहीं. Russia has been dealt with. Third challenge that they have right now is China. Analyzing written assumes by the middle of 21st century, China will overtake US and become the leading superpower. The pace with which China is rising, उसको जो एनालिसिस किया लोगों ने, एंड दे सेड कि अगर इसी पेस पे चलता रहा तो इवेंचुअली चाइना विल ओवरटेक अमेरिका and become the leading superpower. Economically, China is on the way to match the Americans, but militarily, they are decades behind. I think the GDP of America is somewhere around 21 trillion, and the GDP of China is somewhere around 13 trillion, I think. So, and the third country is, I think, Germany, which is around at 4 something trillion, and then Japan. So, you can see the difference here between first and second and third. So America and China right now they're in their own league. They are competing for the number 1 place with which the US have right now. They are trying to preserve that. Okay. So most US government foreign policy strategists are persuaded that the history of 21st century will be written in Asia and the Pacific. Again, मैं पिछले बहुत वीडियोस से इस चीज़ पर काफ़ी रिएटरेट कर रहा हूँ कि a lot of good historians, a lot of great historians have reiterated on this thing that the history of 21st century will be written in Asia and the Pacific. So it means Asia and the Pacific means give me a minute. This region this region is the core of 21st century. South China Sea, this region, वेस्टर्न पैसिफिक एंड दिस इंडियन ओशन रीजन, क्योंकि यहाँ से ट्रेड राउट्स बहुत ज़्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट है भाई ये. एंड साउथ चाइना सी में आई थिंक मैंने चाइना वाली वीडियो में ये कवर किया है कि द अमाउंट ऑफ इम्पोर्टेंस दैट दिस region possess, the amount of oil reserves that they have, and the strategically location to the choke points. That this is the Strait of Malacca, a choke point. Choke points, somebody who do not know, they are the most important place on earth right now. Some choke points are, one of them is Strait of Malacca, one is 8-degree channel. right now यहाँ पे भी एक choke point है भाई, मालदीव्स और इंडिया के बीच में. दिस इज अ गुड चोक पॉइंट. अनदर चोक पॉइंट इज दिस बाबल, आई थिंक दिस इज बाबल मंडेप. हाँ, बाबल मंडेप. दिस इज अ गुड चोक पॉइंट टू गेट अ होल्ड ऑन गल्फ ऑफ ओमान. एंड दिस चोक पॉइंट स्ट्रेट ऑफ हॉर्मुज, दिस इज स्ट्रेट ऑफ हॉर्मुज आई थिंक. गिव मी अ मिनट, यहाँ पे आ जाएगा लिखा भी. हाँ, दिस इज स्ट्रेट ऑफ हॉर्मुज गाइस. मुझे हाँ, this is Strait of Hormuz. This is a good choke point to get a hold on. And then one of the most important, I think, is the Suez Canal. This choke point is important geographically and geopolitically. The Strait of Gibraltar, this choke point is important. And another choke point is here. This choke point is important. The Bosporus Strait. This link between the Black Sea and the Mediterranean. I think this sea, Sea of Marmara, and this eventually leads us to the Mediterranean. Okay, so ये कुछ choke points बताएं आपको. आप लिख लीजिए अगर आपको याद ना रहती हो चीज़ें, बट ये याद रहना चाहिए क्योंकि ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. हाँ, सो वेयर वर वी. हाँ, दिस एरिया इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. ओके, और ये सभी स्टूडेंट्स ने लिखा हुआ इस एरिया के ऊपर. सो आगे करते हैं. लेट्स गो अहेड. Hence, the US increasingly investing time and money in East Asia. East Asia, again, the same region which I have just showed you. So they have a lot of military bases in Guam, in Manila, in Indonesia, here in Singapore. What they're trying to do is in Taiwan, और यहाँ पे कोरिया है, इसमें भी उनके military bases हैं भाई. So what they're trying to do is they are establishing their dominance and they're reducing the Chinese dominance. The deadly game in the century will be how Chinese and Americans and others in the region manage each crisis that arises without losing face. So what ये बोल रहे हैं कि the deadliest game होगा इस century का, कि कैसे Chinese और Americans इस गेम को मैनेज करते हैं विदाउट किसी एक दूसरे की इमेज को हर्ट किए बिना. सो देखो, जस्ट एन एग्जांपल ऑफ दैट, वो इस बुक में एग्जांपल दिया हुआ था. बीजिंग डिक्लेयर्ड ऑफ एयर डिफेंस आइडेंटिफिकेशन जोन रिक्वायरिंग फॉरेन नेशंस टू इन्फॉर्म देम बिफोर एंटरिंग व्हाट इज डिस्प्यूटेड टेरिटरी. So what Beijing did is they established air defense identification zone. Basically, अगर that area जिसमें किसी भी प्लेन को आने से पहले परमिशन चाहिए होगी, चाइनीज परमिशन, because they claim that this is our airspace. Disputed territory have internationally, but they claim that this is our airspace and you have to take our permission to enter in that area. But the Americans deliberately flying through it without telling them. So what China did here is they established their dominance. उन्होंने अपना dominance establish किया. So but ये करते हुए America's image was hurted. So what America did is they violated that air identification zone. They went there without telling them. So what America is trying to do here is they are establishing their dominance. So both are entangling into each other. China gained something by declaring. China को declare करके dominance मिला कि we are claiming this area, so you guys can stay away. Okay. And US gained something by being seen not complying. And what US gained here is कि हमने तुम्हारे साथ comply नहीं करा, मतलब we do not recognize that that area is yours. Neither side looking for a conflict. This is very important. They are initiating these small things, but none of them want a bigger conflict because both of these countries are mature enough that war will ruin them, like they ruined Europe in 1940s. The Chinese can accept American guarding most of the sea lanes that deliver Chinese goods to the world, so as long as Americans accept that there will be limits to just how close to China that control extends. शायद ये आपको समझ नहीं आया और मुझे भी 2-3 बार पढ़ने पर समझ नहीं आया था. So I will explain you, but first I will drink a sip of water. So what the author trying to say here is the Chinese can accept the Chinese can accept America guarding most of the sea lanes that deliver Chinese goods. चाइना एक बात एक्सेप्ट कर सकता है कि अमेरिका इज गार्डिंग द सी लेन्स, मतलब अमेरिका इज एस्टैब्लिशिंग देयर डोमिनेंस दैट दे प्लस नेवल डोमिनेंस इन दैट एरिया इन साउथ चाइना सी. दिस इज इवेंचुअली हेल्पिंग चाइना क्योंकि उनके गुड्स डिलीवर हो रहे हैं सेफली to the world, deliver Chinese goods to the world, so as long as America accept that there will be limits to just how close to China that control extends. China ये चीज accept कर सकता है कि you are guarding the sea lanes through which Chinese goods reaches to the world, but you have to be careful. आप हमारे क्लोज आओ लेकिन आप इतना क्लोज भी मत आओ कि उससे हमारी जो सोवरेनिटी है उसके ऊपर असर पड़े, हमारी इमेज खराब हो. आप इतना भी क्लोज मत आओ. So the Chinese can accept America guarding most of the sea lanes that deliver Chinese goods to the world, so as long as America accept, अगर अमेरिका की बात एक्सेप्ट करे कि you will not come closer, except that there will be a limit to just how close to China that control extends. जो कंट्रोल अमेरिका प्रेस करता है वो कितना कितना क्लोज है चाइना के, अगर अमेरिका ये बात एक्सेप्ट करे तो. I think you guys got it. Okay. The Persian statesman Otto von Bismarck, in a double-edged remark said more than a century ago, God has a special providence for tools, drunks, and the United States of America. It appears to be true. Yes, this is very much true. What Otto von Bismarck said hundreds of years ago is God has a special providence for tools, drunks. Now, for fool, I'm sorry, मुझे लगा F की जगह T है. For fool, drunks, and God, भगवान इनके लिए कुछ ज़्यादा ही कुछ ज़्यादा ही lenient है. Fools, drunks, and the United States of America. The planet's most successful country is about to become self-sufficient in energy. It remains a preeminent economic power. It spends so much on research and development for its military than the overall military budget of all other NATO countries combined. Population is not aging. 25% of all people hoping to immigrate put the US as first choice. It has 17 universities in the top 20. America, the author is trying to say is America has been on the top for the last 100 years or so, and जो इनके आसार अभी लग रहे हैं. First thing, the planet's most successful country is about to become self-sufficient. So they are सबको पता है कि they have reduced their oil dependency on the countries. They are producing their own oil, and they are trying to switch to very clean energy as well. So first thing, it remains as a preeminent economic power. The GDP of America is 21 trillion. This is the biggest in the world. I think next 2 or 3, next 5 को combine करें तो भी GDP नहीं है. So it is a preeminent economic power and spends more owns research and development for its military. I think their military budget is somewhere around $750 billion, which is crazy. Okay, and their population is not even like China, and they have 17 universities in the top 20. That means that they are intellectually sound too. So